Good evening. A new series of polls shows the presidential race transformed since last week's debate. Today's Rasmussen tracking numbers show a deadlocked race with Obama and Romney, both at 48%. This after weeks of Obama distancing himself from Romney, especially in those key swing states. But look at this. A state poll in Pennsylvania today shows Obama up by just 3%. A couple weeks ago, it was a double-digit lead. Similar movement in Ohio, where the most recent Rasmussen poll is within the margin of error. And in Virginia, though a poll yesterday had the president holding on to a 3-point lead, 2 polls late last week had Governor Romney leading. Demographics, voter turnout, even events overseas could tip the election next month, but so too could social changes in the country. And today we learned more about one such change with one more poll. I promise this is the last poll. A Pew Research Center poll found that 20% of American adults have no traditional religious affiliation. Michelle Boorstein wrote today's story on the study, and she joins us now. This is a significant move in just a couple decades. How many people identify this way?
Yeah, that number has almost doubled since about 1990. It was basically flat for many decades, and then people started to become more independent about how they thought about their religious affiliation.
And who are these people?
Well, actually across demographics, across income demographics, educational demographics, gender. But one area where there's a big difference is in their political affiliation, and they're about 68% Democrats.
They're mostly Democrats, and we'll get into the politics, but I thought it was interesting, we were talking before we went on, these aren't necessarily seekers. These are people with religious backgrounds.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the religious polling show the contradictions and complications in the way we experience and talk about our religious identity. For a long time, people thought, people who were switching faith or weren't sure how they were affiliated were seekers, but 88% of the people in this poll were asked, are you looking for a religion? Are you just looking for the right kind of religion? And they said they aren't. So they're not seekers. They're people who are primarily not attracted to a traditional religious affiliation in how they call themselves, how they label themselves.
So how do the campaigns speak to these people? How does this play into the election?
One of the things that we've all seen in this campaign is seeing both of the campaigns noticeably talk less specifically about their faith. And of course, lots of people have noted that both candidates, Romney because of his Mormonism and people's unfamiliarity with Mormonism, and President Obama because of the explosion that happened with news of things that were said in the church that he attended, that they may have political reasons for not speaking specifically about their faith, but also they have to acknowledge that there's a huge group of voters that don't want to hear too much talk about a candidate's religiosity.
Michelle, thanks. Jesse Galef now joins us by Skype. There he is from Columbus, Ohio, from the Secular Students Alliance. Jesse, thanks for hooking up with us.
Thanks for having me.
So I think my first question is, atheists and non-believers for a long time have been kind of on the outside of American life. And I wonder if you still feel that way or you think that's changed.
I really feel it's changing. I mean, there have been atheists and agnostics in society for as long as there's been the country, but now more and more people are coming out and saying it. The stigma is going away. We've been pushed to the sides of society, afraid to admit it, but now that stigma is going away and we can proclaim who we are and participate.
Maybe the cliche, and certainly the results of this Pew research shows that most of these non-believers are Democratic voters. Is that your experience? Are those the people you know?
There's a pretty big mix. It's not a claimed demographic. I believe that 65% of the unaffiliated are saying they're leaning towards voting for Obama, but that leaves a sizable chunk of the population not committed.
So you say things are improving. What's the top of your wish list?
I think societal acceptance of atheists is the biggest thing. We're tired of having our friends and family afraid of us, disown us. A lot of public polls show that the mistrust of atheists is almost as high as rapists. In terms of political activism and opportunities, we would like to be accepted for public office. Record numbers of people say they will vote for a qualified atheist for public office. This is a number that's really changing. For the first time recently, polls found that a majority of people would vote for an atheist. We have a long way to go, but we are part of the population, are part of the electorate, and want to participate like everybody else.
Now some 20% of the population. Jesse Galef, thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you.